Smith, which gives him this great opportunity to take the first rack here. He'll have to judge this shot well. It's off 2 rails with a little bit of side spin, trying to get the cue ball in the middle of the table, just like that. And actually he's gone a little bit high enough to eliminate that 6 ball being in the way of his body when he gets down on the shot, which is perfect. Slightly overhit that one. He's still okay, of course, but this 8 ball now is a little bit harder than it should have been. He would have preferred to be almost straight on it. Now, this requires another piece of good cueing. Because it's early days and sometimes at the beginning of a match there's a little bit of tension still left in the arm, you could opt to play this with topspin. That way he can play it a little bit harder, trying to avoid the nervy shots. Yeah, there you go, nicely played. All it does is enables you to push the cue through with a bit more conviction. If you have to play a very medium pace, even below medium, these are very touch and feel shots, and if you're not 100% flowing, it's usually the type of shot that goes wrong. You decel or you, well, don't push the cue through a straight line. Nevertheless, it was a very convincing run, even though we had a tactical battle. Iwan Smith takes the first rack, settles in the match right away. We are, of course, playing with a 3-point rule. And that is unfortunately not considered a legal break. Nine ball, of course, the most common game played all over the world. It's a very exciting game, all right. A lot of action. early signs, it feels like Giuliano has figured out the pace of the table immediately, even though his previous cue ball on the 8 was slightly overrun, but that can happen. It's the first rack. I think he was a little bit off straight on that 5 ball. So he basically settled for this mid-range 6. Now, these are the type of shots where you really need to keep still on the shot. The putt itself is not too difficult, but it is a type of shot where if you don't play the cue ball with some conviction, you can steer the 6. Yeah, nicely played. You can tell he didn't play it tentative. And once again, he's in prime shape to extend the lead here. Sometimes you're watching a pool match and the game full of shots he's played in this rack were all perfect. So Giuliano Smith in with an early lead, gets the break next. If you've just tuned in, welcome. We're watching this winners qualification match between home favorite Giuliano Smith from the Netherlands, of course, against Reda Belhaj representing France. This is in the 45 plus seniors event for a place at the last 32. In the first rack, we had a little tactical exchange. Giuliano ended up winning the rack. In the previous rack it was Reda who broke, but of course the 3-point rule is in operation. It was an illegal break. Giuliano stepped in, took the most out of that chance and cleared up. And that's the scoreline, how it's panned out so far. But as I was doing that little recap, it's now Giuliano's turn to break and leave his opponent with a great chance here. Nothing safe at the table. And as you can see, the first shot, the 1, is wide open. Yeah, I said it was wide open, but it didn't really get close to the 1 ball. He could find himself in some trouble here. What a good shot that is. And although maybe the 1 rail is available from the top rail, these are the type of shots that are very difficult, very tricky to judge. Needs to hit the 1 ball, and of course it's not all about hitting the 1, you also need to get it safe. Well, in fact, Reda was not even attempting to hit the 1. He played the intentional foul. He tried to lock up the 5 with the 7, but I don't think he's succeeded in that. In fact, there is definitely a way to play good position on the 5 and clear the table here. You tend to think if Gil can get close enough on the 4 ball after the 3, it will give him great chance to play the pinpoint precision that is needed on the 5 ball here. Although he's left that a little bit short, I'm sure he can still check the cue ball, topspin with a little bit of right. Now it's interesting to see what kind of angle he's left himself on the 3 ball here. It's looking pretty straight from this camera angle. So there might be a case where he just draws this back all the way across the table in a direct line. Oh dear me. I think he's trying to force an angle there because it was pretty straight. You can see where the cue ball is headed towards the right side of the table. And that is a very unforgivable mistake for Giuliano Smith. The balls were at his mercy, and now Reda Belhaj once again gets a good chance to get his campaign rolling. It is fine, of course, he's got enough angle to work with. We'll need to judge this cue ball pretty well. Basically where the cue ball is right now would be ideal on the 5. Needs to come off 2 rails. Yeah, he's overhit that by a mile. He won't be able to cut this 5 ball in. So it's likely going to be a safety shot unless he wants to attack. Take the bank shot on the bottom middle pocket. Because the 8 ball is of course sitting in the corner pocket. Any sort of shot on the 6, you tend to think he's still favored to make the combination. Yeah, no real surprise there. He's played safe, but I think he's left an edge on this 5 ball, and I'm just wondering whether this 5 ball is cuttable. Gil switching hands, playing with his left hand here. Yeah, that's a shame. That was a chance as well for Gil. And because he's hit it so hard, even though he's missed the 5 on the professional side, as we call it, the cue ball has come back all the way around the table to leave this 5 ball puttable. This is now the 3rd chance for Reda Belhaj. Surely he'll have to take this. There's a little bit of risk involved in the shot. If that 6 ball follows the 8 and he's playing it softly, he could leave himself on the 7 with a pressure shot. Yeah, he's trying to make sure that he can control the 6 ball. He's managed to place his cue ball in a very tight triangle, but nevertheless he's still perfect on this 7 ball. just slightly under hit that 7. Of course, this is the pretty standard and common spot shot. You should be able to putt this. And in it goes. So Reda Belhaj gets his first rack on the board. Yeah, he needed 3 chances, and Giuliano a little bit disappointed. He had a great opportunity to counter. Actually, he had 2 chances. He missed the 3 ball as well. So this rack could have been anyone's, but it's the Frenchman who takes it in the end. Reda Belhaj, second time offering, trying to break. The 3-point rule is in operation, and that is not a legal break, I'm afraid. Once again, Giuliano steps in with a chance to counter on the break of Reda Belhaj. Reda is using the mirroring system, trying to putt this 2-ball off the side rail. I must say it's a pretty reliable aiming system, but it's tough to judge when it's so close. You have to make the right adjustment. Yeah, that's the cardinal sin. At the very least, you should be able to make contact with the 2-ball. This is a ball in hand. Don't know. Not so sure what was going on. Reda is expressing his dissatisfaction with the match official, maybe. He's nicely placed here on the 3-ball. He should be able to stun it in between the gap of the 6 and the 4, even if he makes contact with the 6, as long as he's not bridging over the 6. He should be perfect on the 4-ball. Doesn't need to hit this too hard as well. Yeah, I said he doesn't need to hit it too hard, but I'm a little bit surprised he hit it that hard, to be honest with you. And that's why he's slightly lost his cue ball. This is a lot thinner on the 4 than he would have wanted. And it doesn't seem like the 5-ball passes the 8, so he might play this pocket speed, try to land on the right side, just where his bridging hand is, and leave himself the combination 5-9. Yeah, that seems to be the plan. Oh, and he's missed it. I must admit, that previous positional shot wasn't as good as we are accustomed to see from Giuliano Smith. Make no mistake about it, that was a great chance for Giuliano Smith. He'll have to sit and await whether he will return to the table in this rack. Judging by the layout and how he's landed on the 5-ball, odds are against him. I'm sure he won't panic because it's likely going to be 2-all, but in all fairness, Giuliano has had chances in all of the racks. He could have been 4-0 in front. That's a massive difference, of course, instead of 2-all. Nothing to panic about it, like I said earlier. Well, he'll be definitely trying to tighten up. Reda seems to be eyeing up the 9 into the corner pocket. Myself, I all day, every day of the week, take this 9 into the middle pocket. But it is in nice and safely. So it's 2-all. Giuliano Smith back at the table. I've had the pleasure to play this man on several occasions. One thing you cannot say about Gil, regardless of his form or the scoreline, he'll never cave in. He's the type of player that is willing to grind it out till the very last minute, very last shot. And again, the break this time around is not serving him. When we take a closer look at the layout, you tend to think potentially 2 good positional shots, the 3 onto the 4 and then the 4 onto the 5. That should be the key shot in this rack in order to clear the table. He'll be likely off 2 rails. He'll just have to make sure the cue ball does not run into the 8 ball. Now he's part of that 3 ball way too full. Maybe he was trying to come off 1 rail and have his cue ball run into the 9, but that was always going to be the risk in that shot, as you could see. Now he's trying to kick this 4 ball into the right side pocket. He's been very, very fortunate there. Did the main part, he hit the 4-ball. But there was no way to legislate how he would get it saved like this. And that is unfortunate as well. Gil was trying to play a very delicate shot over the distance, never easy to judge. Trying to send the 4-ball towards the cluster of 3 balls and hide the cue ball behind the 8. Didn't work out for him. Not so sure why Reda is... Yeah, I thought the 4 to the middle for the 5 into the left corner pocket seemed pretty obvious. Even though initially he might not have landed absolutely perfect on the 5-ball, but it actually worked out in his favor. Nicely played that previous shot. The cue ball needs to stop. He's still okay, I believe. I have to be a little bit careful. If he was going to play this with backspin, you can easily overscrew the cue ball and hook yourself behind the 9. So it has to be a little bit careful. Yeah, he's trying to eliminate the left side of the table just to guarantee himself a shot on the 8. But this shot here is a lot thinner than you might think, so I don't think it's worth trying to roll this one in. He'll have to play this firm, go around the table most likely. No, he's trying to... I'm sure he went for the pot there. But, well, he's missed it by a mile, has to be said. Got the main part of the shot right there, Gil. He was hoping to hook his opponent behind the 9-ball. Because the only danger with this type of safety is you do leave your opponent a potential bank shot, a straight over the distance bank. That is, of course, if he's going for it. And he has. And he's pulled it off. What a great shot. That's the only problem with that safety shot. You have to make sure either one of the two things, the A-ball is absolutely glued to the rail, or even better, hook it with the 9-ball. Isn't it funny how often we see when a player is forced, more or less by the situation, to go for attack, they seem to execute the shot to perfection. Now the Frenchman takes the lead for the first time in the match. He'll be looking to pounce on. Once again, the break eluding both of the players so far. that cue ball stops in time, which it has, he's gonna play a nice tight hook behind the 6. Yeah, this is advantage gill. And maybe, because in I believe it was the first rack, maybe the second, Red had a similar type of situation. He played an intentional foul, tried to tie up one of the balls. He might do the same here. He could potentially push the 9 ball tied onto the 8. We'll have to hit the 2 ball. Anything other than a legal stroke could wreak trouble here. I mean, he's played the intentional foul, which is fine, but like, how's that going to change the situation if you push the 7 still in an open situation? Don't really understand the reasoning behind that shot. If you're trying to play the intentional foul, at least try to tie up one of the balls. That 7 is not in a position where you would consider it as a problem ball. Far from it, in fact. He's likely to be better off to try to incorporate the second side rail. That way you can hit this a little bit firmer with a bit more conviction. Just like that. And he's left himself a nice straightforward angle off 2 rails for the 6 ball. Just landed absolutely dead straight, which is fine. He could manipulate the pocket, run off 2 rails, doesn't need to do anything weird here. Just roll it in, control the pace, leave yourself any angle on the 7. But I've said that, I think he's left himself the worst possible angle here on the 7. That little nudge with the chalk on the table indicates he's not entirely happy with the cue ball. Yeah, there you have it. It's pretty straight, so he was very limited with the cue ball. These type of shots are still very much so makeable, of course. But again, I think Giuliano also considering the 8 into the top left corner pocket. You tend to think the 8 in the middle is sitting pretty for you. Yeah, it's a matter of preference, of course. There's no right and wrong. But I would never even consider the corner pocket, having had a pretty straight in shot on the 8 for the middle pocket. The putt is not too difficult here on the 8 ball. It's mainly controlling the cue ball because it will track towards the top left corner pocket. He'll have to navigate around that. Cue ball is in danger to scratch, of course. You can even scratch in the middle pocket. We can't see the cue ball. Yeah, it's dropped. It's dropped in the middle pocket. What a reprieve that is for Giuliano Smith. Yeah, these are always very tricky shots. You're trying to drop it in and use a side spin to control the cue ball. I think he's lost his cue ball there. I don't think the attacking option is all that inviting considering the situation here. Don't know whether he can see enough the 3-ball to hook his cue ball behind the 9. So far, the safety shots he's played, the hooks he's played, has immediately served him a ball in hand. Nope. Well, he's hit the 3-ball. But the result is pretty much the same as a ball in hand. This is once again a good opportunity for Giuliano to punish his opponent after a good safety shot. Gil. I mean, we've had 6 rats so far. This is the 7th rack, and I believe in every one of them, Gil has had at least one good chance, if not more. And knowing this man personally, having played him personally, so far, this match is not a representation of how good this man actually can play. Multiple former Dutch champion 9-ball as well. And when you consider he had to battle against the all-time greats, Niels Feyen, Nick van den Berg, UGC, couple of former world champions. He's got a very strong resume. I'd like to see that in replay. I think he hit both of the knuckles of the middle pocket, because that cue ball was way too hard to land there, I believe. And once again, Reda Belhaj from France going one up. After 7 racks, very little to separate the two men. The scoreline could have been very different indeed. Both men have had several chances. This time around, oh no, it's not a legal break. I thought it was a legal break. That is tough to take. Look at the layout. They're all there for the taking. That's fine. He's left himself a nice angle here on the 3-ball to cross the table from side to side. Once again, he's lost his cue ball out of absolutely nowhere. And he's put some pressure on this now. Yeah, it's just... what can I say? At the moment, it's simply not good enough. These type of opportunities are bread and butter normally for Giuliano Smith. But it seems like he's truly struggling with the pace of the table. Both men struggling with the cue ball out there. This also happens a lot, of course, in cue sports. When one player starts to struggle, for whatever odd reason, the opponent can be dragged in the same below par level. And with the same token, when sometimes a player starts to fly, you can see the level of the match just picks up. Have a look at this. Both players have presented each other with a great opportunity, and well, it'll be Gliano Smith who will level the score here. Very, very deflating as a player at the table when a match is going like this, to keep your cool, but you'll have to do that. It's still only going to be 4-all. That is a legal break. He spotted 2 off the break, and that 9-ball is past the head string, as you can see. If you've just joined this match, welcome. This has been a match of missed opportunities. Both players have presented one another with multiple great chances, so even though the score is tied, it could have easily been a huge gap between one or the other. As we see Gliano Smith here at the table, trying to produce the first break and run of the match. It might just be the little piece of inspiration he'll need to kickstart into another gear. He's done this thousands upon thousands times in his career so far. Break and run. Take control over the match. And when you look at the layout and just where the cue ball is placed right now, you tend to think there's nothing in his way to clear the table here. That's perfect. Long straight drawback. And there we have it, the first break and run of the match. That should settle him down. Gliano Smith has taken a timeout. He'll have 5 minutes to return, so this is your chance to grab a beverage. And the match will resume as soon as Gliano Smith will return to the table. As Gliano Smith is returned from his timeout, I believe it's Reda Belhaj to break. Going away from the side of the table. I don't blame him. So far the break has not really worked out for him. But unfortunately, this attempt has given the same result so far. Nice opening shot there by Gil. I think the 2 passes the 9. Yeah, it does, but he could potentially take the 2-9 combination. I don't think he's going for it. should be able to control the cue ball here. It's not the easiest of the shots. I believe he can get enough purchase on the cue ball to hit the side rail first. He could always, of course, try and use the bottom rail and then maybe even the 8 ball to just slow down the cue ball here. He's trying to cut this into the bottom right. So that 6 ball will be going towards the right side. Yeah, that's exactly what he's done, is used the 8 ball to put the brakes on the cue ball. And trying to punch this cue ball off 2 rails mid-table. I did say towards the end of the previous rack, when he produced the first break and run of the match, this could be that little piece of inspiration he needed to kickstart into a different gear. And this time he does not hesitate to take his chance. Now goes up 6-4. It is of course a race to 8. If he can produce another clinical break and run, well, you have to make him heavily favored for this match. Reda returns after his timeout. Giuliano looking to put himself on the heel here. Yeah, that one ball went very close to the left middle pocket, but it's not dropped, of course. Yeah, Reda was a little bit worried that the cue ball would track towards the 5 ball. And as you could see, he had a very narrow angle to place his cue ball in for the 2 ball. It does present Giuliano with a chance here to counter. But the same rules apply for him. He'll have to place his cue ball in a very narrow angle. And, well, he can definitely see the 2 ball. And in theory, it is cutterable. But I'm not so sure whether he'll go for this. Likely going to be a safety shot here. Oh, he has come down to have a look at the putting angle, so he might actually go for it. There's a lot of balls in the middle of the table that could potentially cover it if he misses it. Overcutted by such a margin, that cue ball has come all the way around past the half mark of the table. And luckily enough for Gil, Abel is covering the 2, so it'll have to be a kick shot here of 1 reel. And has to be said, so far the kick shots have proved to be a problem for Reda. But this time around, I think he's left it safe, you know. I think the 2 is puttable. Maybe it isn't. And if it's not, well, the 8 ball is hampering the cue ball. I was thinking maybe you could send the 2 ball of 3 rails up table, stop the cue ball where it is, or just draw it back gently. I think he can putt this. Nope. He played the bank shot. But he's been a little bit unfortunate there. He's left the 2 over the hole. Gil can definitely putt this after side rail. And I'll tell you what, he was not intending to hit the 8 ball. But even in doing so, he still managed to land nicely here on the 3 ball. So after that 1 shot, this already can be considered a good chance to put himself on the hill. But that 3-ball putting attempt was nowhere near the pocket. All in all, it could have been way worse for Gil. This 3-ball, of course, is puttable, as you can see. I'll have to send this cue ball up and down the table. I think he played a two-way shot there, Reda Belhaj. I do believe he went for that 9 combination, but he was also trying to putt the 3-ball. Knew that shot was always there for him. And that's the nature of 9-ball. It all comes down to the 9, of course. It's the most important ball. He'll be a little bit disappointed there. He had a good chance to put himself 7-4 up. Now it's all to play for. Reda Belhaj has been experimenting with a cue ball on the break here. And it's a clear indication so far the break has not been doing him any sort of favors. And on this occasion, the same pattern continues. No chances created of his break. That was a clever shot in theory by Giuliano Spit. Unfortunately, it's not worked out to his favor. Needs to play this with a trace of inside. Makes the putt a little bit more missable. Played to perfection, however. Not so sure what he was looking at. I think he can easily send his cue ball towards the left side of the table for the 8 into the top left corner pocket. He's got more than enough angle to work with. He can even top this one through a little bit of inside right spin. That shot, of course, was also available to him. There was a little bit more risk involved in that. As you could see, the cue ball went pretty close towards the middle pocket. But nevertheless, he played it very well indeed. And this 9 ball for a 6-all scoreline. Nothing to separate the two men after 12 racks. And that was an illegal break by Gill. But looking at the layout, it's likely going to cost him from this visit. Likely going to be another tactical exchange here. Has to be said, so far it feels like Giuliano has had far better of the tactical exchanges. Majority of the time when he's hooked his opponent is resulted into a ball in hand. Have to be careful, of course. what seemed to be a straightforward safety attempt. Once again, the pace of the table catching these two players out. And at the very least, he can just drop this 2-ball in and try to hook his opponent behind the 8. I'm sure Reda would have preferred a little bit more angle here on the 6-ball, but it should be enough to send the cue ball over to the left side of the table. He could even follow this through if he wants to. That seems to be the way he's going. I must admit, it feels like the rails are a little bit bouncy. I thought that cue ball came twice as hard off the rail as it hit the rail initially. So that might be one of the factors why both these players seem to be struggling with the cue ball. If you're watching on YouTube, you have the option to rewind and see whether what I'm saying is even remotely true. The rails or the cushions seem to be playing pretty lively today. He'll have to apply himself on this 9-ball here. Very important shot, of course, in the context of the match. All the way through, it's been nip and tuck. But this is a great opportunity for the Frenchman. Put himself on the hill first. No, he's missed it. And where will that cue ball land? It's a thin cut. And since the game has gone pretty scrappy, this is not a formality either for Giuliano. This is a nervy one. Cue ball will be flying over the table. Not so sure what he was trying to play there. Maybe a 4-rail bank or something? That cue ball is close. Everything is happening at the moment, but it's the Frenchman who puts himself on the hill first. We are well and truly in the trenches now. Could you imagine a match finishing with a pot and a combination on the 9-ball at the same time? Gillis come down to have a look at the cut here on the 2-ball. He could even potentially attack the bank, the 2 onto the 9 if he wishes. It's landed very awkward once again. He's got a couple of options available to him. He could play the carom, the cue ball onto the 9-ball. He can even try to send it forward on the 9-ball, or try to putt the 4 directly. Either way, it's going to be a tough shot. Well, he played a two-way shot there. Every credit to him. But this cut here on the 5-ball seems like a very tough shot to me. Likely going to play safe here. Needs to get the 5-ball safe. And how is his cue ball? I think he has left an edge on the 5 here. Not so sure whether Reda is able to see enough of the 5-ball to bank it, so it might have to play safe here. But there's a lot of pressure on this safety return. Well, he flukes the 5 ball. The 7 ball also drops. This 9 ball is for the win. It's a once again it's an awkward shot. You're trying to cut this 9 ball in the side. Or is he going for the bank shot? I think he's going for the bank, you know. Yeah, what a good shot. What a good shot. I was about to say the scratch was on if he was to cut it in directly. It's not the end of the road here just yet for Giuliano Smith. This was the winner's qualification, so he'll have another chance to book his place via the loser's qualification. It is, of course, the conclusion of this match. Thanks for your time and attention, and as always, keep an eye out on the stream as we will be back shortly live with another match in the 9 balls division. Bye for now and see you back shortly. between Giuliano Smith and Reda Belhaj will still in the seniors 45 plus bracket. Today it's all about the 9-ball. It's the penultimate day of this year's Predator European Pool Championships here in the northern region of the Netherlands, Assen, in the beautiful venue, the Bonte Wever. My name is Arya Sorabi. I'll do my best to talk you through this match. And as you can see, it's a winner's qualification match. Race to 8 for a place in the last 32. It's an all Scandinavian affair between Björn Erik Berg from Norway versus Roger Akerblom from Sweden. Both men seem to know each other pretty well, which can be concluded if you take in consideration the nice friendly hug before the match. So I'm sure we can expect a very tight finish here once again, which is often the case when you have two players that know each other in and out. The break, it is a 3-point rule break with the 9-ball on the spot. And in the previous match we was following, you could see the break is been causing some challenges for the players, to say it least. Make no mistake, the arena tables, they usually tend to play a lot different than the outside tables, which is likely to be because of all the lights and cameras and overall just a lot more temperature in the arena. That safety attempt not worked out in his favor by Erik. It's a narrow margin here for his opponent Roger. Seems to be going off the right side of the table. Oh no, he's tried to put the one into the corner pocket. Didn't manage to get enough backspin on the cue ball, so only be that one first shot. We'll have to play a good safety here. If he can play a very tough hook on his opponent, that should create a chance for him here. It remains to be seen whether he's hooked his opponent. I think he has with the 7-ball. Simultaneously, he's managed to create a lot of distance between the cue ball and the 2. I think it is potable off the side rail. That seems to be a full ball hook to me. Unless he's left a very, very unfortunate gap here for his opponent. Well, he's back up. Is Erik. I think he's grabbing for the short stick. He's going airborne here. These are very difficult shots. Particularly if he's trying to hit the rail first. So it's like a jump kick shot. Tough to control the cue ball. So that safety has created this chance for Roger. That was a good chance there for Roger. He let slip out of his hands there. Yeah, the idea was great, but needed to avoid running into the 8 ball, of course. He could find himself in trouble after this. I do believe it's a full ball hook from the 7. But he should be able to come off the top rail, hit the 5 from the back here. Oh no, you could even hit it directly. I think that 9 ball has come to his rescue, even though you can see enough the 5 ball to even cut it past the 6. But that cue ball will need to do some traveling if he wants to get onto the 6 ball after it. I mean, he's played it almost like a safety shot, which can only indicate he was not 100% certain about the pot. But have a look at that. He spotted a great 6 ball. And yes, he was very fortunate indeed to hit the bump, nudge into the 7 and leave himself, well, a pretty straightforward angle to pot the 7 and get closer on the 8 ball here. A little bit disappointed with this angle. Should have left himself something easier. The pot is not difficult, of course, but I think he's just off straight, or maybe even too straight, to come off 2 rails. Now all of a sudden he'll have to force the cue ball rather than use the natural angle. Well, it was too straight, so he'll have to leave himself this tricky long putt on the 9 ball. And it's not the most straightforward 9 ball for the first rack of the... But in it goes. What a good shot that was by Roger. Both players having a little smile to themselves. Gets the match off and running, as he'll be the next to break. It is an alternate break, of course. 1 break per player. In his first attempt by Roger Eikerblum, he fails to pot a ball, and as I said, the table seems to be breaking pretty difficult, or pretty challenging, I should use, probably. It's going to be another tactical exchange here. This was a pattern we saw in the previous match. A lot of good opportunities being passed up. Makes the world of a difference, of course, if you can start a match being very clinical. And as you could see there, within 2 shots, he's run out of position. Now he's in trouble. I'm sure he'll be happy with the result there. He's hooked his opponent. It is still doable to kick this off 2 rails. He might even get it to save himself, you know. And that's exactly what's happened. Now you tend to think the right way is off the right side rail. Try and hit this pretty full and firm and put the 4 ball. Well, look, the putt seems to be pretty easy, but to get the cue ball up table is the biggest challenge on this shot. That was a very good long putt there by Epbf. Seems to be the opening towards this second rack. It's always nice to settle down early in the match. It is an old cliche, but nevertheless very true. You never settle until you get that first rack on the board, and it's always nice to do that within 1 or 2 attempts. Though he's lost his cue ball there. I mean, that was very clumsy. He had no business to leave himself this type of a shot on the 9 ball. Not saying he'll miss this, but it's a lot harder than it should have been. In it goes nevertheless, so 1-all, all to play for. into the third rack. Still yet to see a successful break. If this pattern continues, of course, we'll see a lot of tactical cat and mouse play, which also makes for a very exciting viewing. I think the cue ball has just bounced high enough towards the left side of the 2 for Roger to be able to see this long putt, and if he can, this can be considered as a good chance. Though he's lost his cue ball there. He needs a nudge on the 9. There you go. If the 4 and the 9 was not there, he wouldn't have a shot on the 2. It seems like the rails on this table are playing very lively indeed, so that does present a challenge with the cue ball control. You just have to, well, one of the easiest hacks you have for that is maybe just shorten your backswing, and by doing that it is also in your favor if you can just place your bridge hand a little bit closer to the cue ball. If you feel that the table is playing or giving too much pace off the rails, you have to figure out something to counter that. Meanwhile, he puts this two-way shot. The 4 and the 9 go in simultaneously, and as always with 9-ball, it all revolves around the 9. So that's a quick turnaround here for Roger. Roger Akerblom completely miscues, and now we could see a tactical exchange. Likely his opponent will try and hunt down the 3 consecutive foul, which would result in a ball in hand. Not ball in hand, sorry, loss of rack, of course. He's going for the ball in hand, of course. Yeah, Roger not messing about. He's disturbed the pack with a controlled pace, must be said. So his opponent will have a shot and a chance to clear the table. But as you can see, the 9, 8 and the 6 are still causing some problem if he was to try and go all out for the attack. Might have been lucky there. I don't think he can see the putting angle, but he can definitely hook the cue ball behind the 9 and the 8 ball. And let's not forget, his opponent is on 2 fouls. Also notified as well by his opponent as well as the match official. Will need to hit the 2 ball, and not only that, he'll need to hit a rail after it. with either the cue ball or the 2. Or you can just pot it like that. So for now he's out of the danger zone, and if anything, if he can produce a decent shot here on the 4, although the cue balls come up just a little bit too much. It's a very tricky shot here. You can drop this 5 ball in, slow drag for the 6 into the bottom right corner pocket, but what a chance this has become. Even though he was in some trouble, but this is a clear-cut chance to go 3-1 up. That was an example where you could see how lively the cushions are. That one ball, when it, the cue ball, when it hit the right side rail, was going a lot slower towards it than how fast it came off the rail. But it's the man from Sweden who now takes a 2-frame lead, now 3-1 up. And I believe it is his opponent to break. That's a fluke, all right, but it has created a chance here for him. Both players seems to see the funny side of it. This match is played in great spirits. He could opt to play position for the 4-9 combination if he wishes to. It's not a risk he'll have to take, of course. He can easily just clear the table by playing good position. I think he was playing for that 4-9 combination, but he's overscrewed his cue ball by a foot. Now, he might even consider the bank shot here on the 4. Well, he's back looking at the pathway for the 4 onto the 9, so he'll be going for this, the 4-9 combination for a 4-1 lead. He had a little bit of safety in mind as well in playing that shot. And, well, if you was his opponent, all you could ask for is another visit at the table, which didn't seem so likely at the beginning of the run. He has left this long putt on the 4 ball, of course. He doesn't need to do anything extravagant with the cue ball. That 5 ball is sitting over the hole. But he has to make the 4 first, of course. And once again, he's been a little bit fortunate. It's not left anything easy for his opponent. I'm just as amazed as he is how that 4 ball failed to drop there. You'll have to miss the middle pocket anywhere between the first diamond after the middle pocket, or the middle should be enough, although it's gone horribly wrong. He just hit it before the middle pocket after the middle. Sorry, the first diamond after the middle pocket, I should say. And now he's faced with this tricky jump shot. It is very makeable, of course. What a lovely recovery shot there by Roger. Needs to still keep his composure, but these last 2 balls to go 4-1 up. It's a nice early lead. As both players have returned from the timeout, the challenging breaking pattern seems to continue once again. Nothing off the break, or at least not a chance created off the break. What a fluke that is. Roger seems to have the momentum in this match. If he can capitalize on that piece of good fortune, he'll go 5-1 up. Well, it's a tall order for his opponent. Still some wiggle room, of course. But it's not the best position to be in. 5-1 down in a race to 8. And it doesn't feel like Roger has played some of his best stuff either. So that would be a very strong position to be in, although that 5-ball has eluded him. And all in all, the damage seems very limited, although Eric has a good chance here to put his opponent in some trouble. Send the 5 up table and try to hook the cue ball to the bottom side of the table. I think he's made a mess of that. Well, maybe he has hooked himself. Yes, he has. So likely going to be a jump shot here, you think? No, not even considering it. Played it in a controlled way, so there's an element of bluffing in it as well. It's more or less like saying, I don't fancy you to pot this. And although that was very close, he's a little bit unfortunate to miss it and still leave it on. So that safety escape option by Roger proved himself right, but he's done a horrible job here from the 5 onto the 6. Question remains whether he even attack the 6 ball. No is the answer. That was a nicely executed shot. It's a very touchy shot. Can catch you out sometimes. Yeah, it's a tough game so far for both players. It's the actual first break where there's a ball being dropped. But it's not a legal break, of course, because the 3-point rule is in operation. I think he has covered this 2-ball. Yes, he has. Fortunately for Eric, the wrong ball dropped. And there's nothing safe at the table at the moment. This is once again a good opportunity for Roger to pull one away again. He'd like to land anything straight or maybe even off straight on the 5-ball here. Yeah, that should do. Needs an angle to work with. He's managed that. So likely to send his cue ball up table. Unless he wants to avoid taking any risk. Yeah, that seemed the right shot there. Feels like he's picked up his pace ever so slightly as well as Roger. Once again, the breaking pattern continues. No love on the break for either of the two players. I was just running through the program for today. We'll have action upon action upon action. The next round is scheduled at 4 o'clock local time. And there are still 2 rounds to be played after that. One of them is 5:45. And the last round scheduled is 7:30 in the evening. One way to guarantee you won't miss any of the action is to click that subscribe button and also turn on your notification so you'll be notified as soon as we go live once again, although we're likely to stay live for the entirety of the day until the action concludes. So there's a lot of pool action still coming your way, as it is all about the 9-ball. We'll play up into the semifinals, which will be concluded tomorrow. The semifinals and the finals, of course. He tried to arc his cue ball there. It's not gone to plan. Roger Akerblom is well and truly in command of the match so far. If he can keep his cool, he should be able to get past this challenge. As it seems like neither of the two players have really performed to the best of their abilities. But all he needs to do is keep making the most out of the opportunities he is getting, and he seems to be getting at least 2 good chances per rack to take care of business. Just a little short on this 9-ball. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for him. You'd expect him to make this. I say that, but what a chance he's let slip of his hands. And how important will that missed 9-ball going to be? That really was a poor miss, which enables his opponent to close the deficit. It should have been 6-2, but instead it's 5-3. This time around, he has potted the ball of his break, and he has also managed to get 2 balls past the head string. So what a moment to produce the first potential break and run of the match after having been gifted that previous rack by his opponent. Just to add a little bit more salt to the wound. We'll have to play a good positional shot here from the 3 on to the 4. I'm thinking he could even draw into the 9 ball directly if he wants to. There's a little bit of risk involved in that shot, of course. Yeah, that seemed to be the shot he's trying to play there. But unfortunately, like I said, there was a little bit of risk involved in that shot, and this was one of the possible outcomes. He has no shot here on the 4, no attacking shot, that is. I'll have to play safe. And I suggest he needs to hide the 4 ball for his opponent. And he seems to have played a very decent shot, although he might just have left an edge on this 4 ball for Roger to try and attack it into the top right corner pocket. We don't say it for no reason that it's a game of inches. Could just see the edge of the 4 ball, made it, and now he's created this wonderful opportunity. You just can't help to think that 9 ball is missed in the previous rack. Has made life a little bit harder for himself. We'll look at this chance. Could have been 7-2 in favor of Roger Akerblom. Although 6-3 is not a bad lead either. Once again, we see a very recognizable pattern. We have had a similar type of layout a couple of racks ago. Meanwhile, live on the other stream table, we have one of our home favorites, Rudy van der Veen, a local hero actually, who just lives a couple of minutes away from this venue. He's 5-4 down against the man from Finland, Pauli Laakso. That's actually gone to 6-4. Current score line in favor of the man from Finland. He's fluked this 5-ball. And what do you know? He can get through to the gap of the 2 and the 3-ball. Maybe he'll play safe here because there's no real value in taking the shot on. That seems to be the same thought process. However, you need to keep your cue ball on the table. I always tend to think these type of safety shots, the hook seems almost guaranteed. I'd much rather prefer to create a lot more distance with the cue ball and the 1. This to me does not feel like a very difficult escape, just off 1 rail, possibly even 2 rails. As long as he can miss the 6-ball, he should always hit the 1. But he couldn't miss the 6 for some reason, and now it seems like that safety shot could pay a lot of dividends. That 1 ball just managed to reach the rail. Otherwise, it would have been a foul and a ball in hand for his opponent. That's gone horribly wrong for him. He's basically created a problem for himself. It'll be interesting to see how hard he's looking to hit this 2-ball from the bottom rail. Of course, if he manages to fluke a ball, or even better, the 9-ball, it would be end of the rack. But the cue ball going in could also mean end of the rack, but then the other way around. Should be able to punch his cue ball on and off the bottom rail. Oh, what have you done? Yeah, he's laughing about it because it really genuinely is a very, very poor shot. Why that cue ball went even close towards the 9 ball, well, I guess we'll never find out, but what a great chance he's squashed there. You could still salvage the situation if he can pull off a long distance jump shot here. One thing is for sure though, he should have never been in this position to take the jump on. Much like the previous match on this table, it seems like a storyline of missed opportunities. What a great opportunity once again Roger had there, and well, it's likely going to be 6-4 up. Oh no, Erik Björn Berg. Very surprised to see the 9 ball hanging over the hole. Even though he hit the reel, I thought it would have dropped. That is a very painful miss by the man from Norway, and what a reprieve that is for Roger Ekerblom. Now 7-3 up, even though it seemed for all the world he messed that great opportunity up. Doesn't get punished, and as is often the case, if you fail to punish your opponent for his mistakes, it makes it a lot easier for them to forget about all the missed opportunities. That was easily the best shot of the match so far. That's landed a little bit awkward here. It is a natural angle for his cue ball if he can drop the 7 ball in. He's tried to come twice across. And I have a sneaky suspicion if he would have played at pocket speed, the 7 likely would have dropped there. Nevertheless, this now all of a sudden becomes a great chance for Roger Akerblom to close out this match and book his place into the last 32. Just one good pot away. And in it goes. That's the conclusion of this match. Keep an eye out on the stream. We'll have the next match scheduled at 4 p.m. local time. So that's just over a half an hour from now. But for now, it was a pleasure and thanks for your time and attention. And we'll see you back with the other matches in the next rounds. Bye for now.